I am approaching my 6-year anniversary in France, and it is only now that I am starting to feel settled and established. It has been a long road, but an interesting one. So as I approach this milestone, I wanted to spend a video sharing a few reflections and a little of what I've learned throughout this experience. Hello! For those who do not know me, my name is Adrielle. I am a recovering American lawyer living in Paris. Let's get into it. So the first thing I would say as I'm coming up on 6 years is that it does not look like what I expected it to look like. And when I say that, I can also say at the same time that I don't fully know if I know what I even expected it to look like. I just know it doesn't fully look like that. So when I say that, I mean that I thought I would learn the language faster. I, of course, had no concept of administration, and so I thought it would be easier to kind of feel set up and to feel established. I also thought things would be easier as far as finding housing, making friends, building a network and a community, and also, frankly, finding, meeting, dating, and that sort of thing. And while I am grateful, and fortunately I do have community, right? I am not alone by any means. It also doesn't fully look like what I expected it. And I say that in the sense, while I'm also still saying, I don't know if I fully had an idea in mind of what it would be like. I just don't think I fully expected it to be like this. Another thing, though, that I've also realized is that I have learned a lot. Like, the past 6 years have really, they've forced me, like, being in this environment where nothing is quite how I expected it has also forced me to deal with things and confront things that I probably would not have confronted or really fully dealt with ever in the US. So, for example, for so many years, I have this vision of what life should look like, right? You go, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids, and there's like this whole little path. And in many ways, being in this environment where everything is just completely different than anything that I grew up doing and anything, frankly, that I spent my adult life doing, I really had to come out of that. I really had to adjust what does success look like? What does joy look like? What does family look like? What does community look like? I had to really rethink these things. I've been forced to confront a lot of kind of the unhealthy and toxic things that came with life in the US. I've had to really unlearn those. And I talked already about some of those in a video that I did last year. So if you didn't see that video, definitely go back and look at it. But having to kind of unlearn things that I thought were normal, but now I'm learning those are bad habits. Like, those are workaholic, unhealthy habits, and you need to let it go. Also kind of having to relearn how I view relationships, how I view a relationship with myself. It's been something that I really needed to come to terms with. I really needed to come to terms with and understand that it's not about following the path that I think I'm supposed to follow. It's about following my path and following that path boldly. I'm recognizing more and more that I want to be bold. I want to bring boldness into my life and into everything that I'm doing. And I've already started to do that in many ways in my fashion, right? So as far as unlearning and relearning, my fashion, my outward expression, it has really changed. And I do think that in many ways it is reflecting me. But also in many ways, I think that there is still something that I am kind of suppressing and pushing down and saying, stay there and, keep that contained. Particularly within the past few weeks, the last few months of the year, it hit me like I need to be bold. I need to be bolder in everything. I was already bold in one thing, moving to France, which I didn't even think was that bold. But everybody else was like, Adriel, that was just like such an amazing thing you did. And people still say that, like, that's such an amazing thing that you did. I don't think of it that way. To me, it wasn't a bold action, but maybe it was, right? Like maybe I'm just selling myself short, and maybe that was a bold action. And so I want to bring that same level of boldness into everything else, into my business, into my fashion, into my home, into everything. I don't want to suppress and crush anymore who I am. This was the dream. It's not that it was the dream, it is the dream. I'm living it every day. And in my head, because of the way that I've worked in the past, I've always thought to get here, to get to the dream, you know, there has to be suffering, it has to be hardship, it has to be stressful. Sometimes you just have to be bold. And in thinking about how I want to approach this new year, this 6th year in Paris, I'm thinking very much, I want this to be my bold year. I'd also say one of the last things that I really think that I've learned and I want to bring into year 6 with me is that there's a lot that sometimes you have to shed. There's a lot you have to relearn in order to be able to move forward. So I would not be in the place where I am saying, it didn't look like I expected it to. I had to unlearn a lot of things, but I'm ready now to be bold and face fear. I could not have gotten to that place if I also had not shed a lot of stuff that wasn't positive and useful for this new step, right? For this new path. And also if I had not been willing to just relearn. Like, in many ways, just be like, oh, fine, I give up, Lord, just lead me. I don't, you know, the people say the universe, whatever, just like, I give up, lead me, I will just follow. You know, I would not have been able to get to this place if I had not been willing and able and open to relearning and also letting go of things that needed to be let go of. There is more, I'm sure, that I probably still need to let go of, but man, am I letting go of it a lot faster, I think, than I was even a year ago. And all of that was necessary, you know, relationships that had to go away, people that had to go away, uncomfortable situations I had to put myself in, navigating this alone, right? Because I basically started dating someone very soon after I moved here, so I didn't really have to navigate a lot alone. There's something to be said where I'm like, you know what, girl? You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You can do it. You can do it. Shedding that stuff is helping me to be bolder now. Shedding that stuff is helping my velocity now. I had a lot of baggage I was carrying with me, and I had a lot that I was holding on to as to the way things had to be and whatever else. And shedding and letting go of all of those things is putting me in the place where I can be bolder, where I can be bigger, where I can face the fears. But I also am no longer viewing the journey as a burden. In many ways, I was viewing, in the US, I felt like the journey was a burden. The journey felt like a burden. It didn't even feel like a burden. It felt like just a grind, just this miserable grind. And I was telling my mom on Christmas last year, I said, I feel like I haven't lived. I feel like I just worked and I never got to live. And stepping into this year, I am determined to live. I am determined with every fiber in my being to live a full life. To not grind, to not race, to view it as a walk, and that I'm going on this walk and I'm going on this journey, and that is a blessing in and of itself. And that's not a burden. And I can be bold in that walk, and I can be bold in that journey, and there are going to be milestones along the way, but in between those mile markers, let's say, there's still the road. I'm still moving a distance, right? Like, it's like, so I'll never forget when I was learning to drive. Actually, maybe it was a year before I was learning to drive, or maybe I don't know. Whenever it was around the time when we were learning to drive. We were on a road trip. My dad was driving, and he was talking to my older brother and I about, you know, things we needed to know when driving. And he said, "You guys see that right there? That's a mile marker on the highway. It tells you what mile you're at. You should always be looking at the mile markers." And, you know, the mile markers, you know, they're each a mile apart, right? So you look at, you know, it's, you know, you're a mile 5,000 and, you know, 5,002, right? And you're looking at each mile marker as you go, and and the markers are there so you know where you're at, right? They're there to say, hey, you got to this place, you marked it. Just like, hey, there's a rest stop at this mile marker, right? It's meant to show you where you are. But the thing is, even though mile markers are a mile apart, you're still moving towards another marker, right? The marker it's a marker. Sometimes it's an indicator. Sometimes there's a rest stop, and it's meant to indicate you can get off and refuel here. You can get off and shop here. You can get off and eat here. You can get off and take a trail here. You know, there are different little places and stops along the way, but you're still moving, right? Because it's a journey. All of it's a journey. And I don't think I fully got that until only recently. And I have this new peace and this calm, and I am just really fighting. Like, I am actively going to work and actively fight to bring that with me into this 6th year in Paris. I have been racing to speak fluent French. You know what? It's gonna happen. I am so much better than when I arrived, right? So it's gonna happen. It's just, you know, the markers, I can't see, I may not see that the markers are behind me, but the markers are behind me, right? Like, I've hit milestones in my French and in whatever, you know, and in my life here. And I'm grateful for those. And so I'm really just trying to just focus on bringing that energy and just all of that I've learned, every single thing that I've learned about this, bringing all of that into year 6. And voila. So, I hope this hasn't felt like a rant. I know I got a little emotional in there. Anyway, yeah, those are my reflections as I move into year 6 in Paris. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited for what this year has to offer. And just, man, this is gonna be a good year, y'all. A lot had to happen. Last year had to happen to get to this year. But I just know it's gonna be a good year. You know, just, I don't know. I hope that this has encouraged you. I hope that this serves as a light for you, that no matter where you are, no matter what's going on, keep moving. Keep moving. You're passing mile markers and you don't even know. Be bolder for 2026. All right, my loves. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you again. Bye.